Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. I'm watching Sky News now, live, and it's about the Oxford vaccine trial that's stopped due to someone having adverse reaction, and obviously they've been using this. Now I don't know. Obviously, I'm skeptical because I don't believe that it is sensible for anyone just to believe what someone says without question or without some form of a little bit of doubt, because we all know human beings, they have a function, which is that function is of lying. We all know, we all can do it, we've all done it. So therefore, because we all have that capacity to lie and deceive, then how do we know when someone tells us something, whether it's true or not? To just accept it without question, especially when you come from a place where, if you had, if you knew someone and they always tell the truth, they tell you the truth, then obviously you would be more willing to think, okay, yeah, they're telling the truth. But if you have a friend who's constantly lying, deceived, many times, I'm talking about the British government, scientists, pharmaceutical companies, I'm not making this up, it's not conspiratorial, there's evidence of that, you can see it on mainstream media, then obviously you'd have to question whether now you're being told the truth or not. To not would be insane. So yeah, I did wonder whether, because they were using the adverse reaction to say that, because everyone's been saying that, because this is being rushed, will they rush the safe checking of it when it comes to human beings, because the trial goes through different stages, through animals, then to humans, and then to the main population. So people are worried about that, because obviously people are worried about vaccines, full stop, because of MMR and all these types of things. And yes, I know everyone says no, there's no connection between MMR and autism, even though lots of mothers have reported they have these things. We all know about Primados, how pharmaceutical companies and the government said there was no problem with it, and now it's been found out that there was, and even some of them are still trying to say there's no problem. So, that's the evidence for why we have to be worrisome over these things. It is not fear-mongering. I'm not saying don't get it, but what I'm saying is that we have to have an element of any toxin that you put in your body is a risk. You don't know how you personally are going to react to it, because we all react differently. That's why we have these trials. And if you ever read through a medication, it will have a long list, usually including death, in it, because that is the results that they've got from these tests. That somebody had a stroke, somebody had a heart attack, and then they weigh out how much. Now I don't know, maybe they'll tell us because of this, like how much of a risk does it allow before it's released? Because it's never going to be completely safe, and they'll tell you it's safe, but it'll never be completely safe, because you may be the one person that gives a heart attack. Because if you read the list, it will say all these things may happen. They have to do that, even though they can't be sued because governments protect them. But anyway, yeah, so I was wondering whether this adverse reaction thing was made up to create trust, problem, reaction, solution. Because it makes sense. Everyone's worried about this. So, if you just make out that someone had adverse reactions, there's no way anyone can prove it. We're never probably going to speak to that person, or maybe they will push a person out in front and they say, yeah, I had adverse reaction, but I'm fine now. And then we all think, oh, okay, yeah, we can trust this because there was a hiccup, but look how they dealt with it. They dealt with it, they stopped, they found out the problem and they sorted it out. Now we can all trust it. That creates trust. That's a way of creating it. And we all know that, we can't just believe that everyone that doesn't plan these things. We all know that human beings do that. So now they've wheeled out this person, and the way he speaks, the language he uses and the facts that he speaks makes me think that he is been pushed out to speak. Maybe he's a doctor or something, or he's close to pharmaceutical companies and he knows this knowledge. But the way he talks about the different countries that are taking part, demographics, he's trying to push this narrative of, yes, it's safe, you trust the scientists, they are testing loads of people, there's 18,000 people in tested, only one has an adverse reaction, you can trust this Oxford thing. I think this Oxford one is going to be the one that comes out of all of them. I know Russia's already got one, but no one will take that because everyone will be scared of it. And I guess if you've watched Chernobyl recently, you may be right to be scared of it if they're doing it on the cheap. But I don't know. That's me talking the fear-mongering that I've been programmed with, isn't it? See? Even I am capable of being brainwashed into believing a narrative of a country that I've never been in. So listen to this guy, see what you think. Sorry, I've coloured your view because I've told you what I thought, but I guess that's why you're here. If you're here.
No man or woman, for that matter, and speak our conscience about what's going on in our society.
And you can see an extended version of that interview in our 50 States Today strand here on the programme at 9:45 this morning. Meantime, let's talk about these vaccine trials that are being run by pharmaceutical company AstraZeneca and also Oxford University. They've been temporarily put on hold after a patient had a suspected adverse reaction. So they may get back underway in just a few days' time. Well, we can talk to someone who's on the trials. That's Jack Summers joining us from Southwest London. Hello to you, Jack.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, I am fine. Tell me about the trial. What's your involvement?
So I signed up back in April when they first asked for volunteers, and I had the injection of either the vaccine or the placebo back in May. I don't know which one. No one knows which one. And then ever since, I've been reporting in on symptoms, that sort of thing. I went back for a follow-up check at the hospital. I'm due back for another one in November. And my symptoms have been next to nothing. I've had a slightly sore arm and a slightly raised temperature. And I actually volunteered to have a second dose of the vaccine on Monday, the Monday just gone, but they contacted me on Sunday saying that was cancelled because the trial was being on hold because, as you said, someone among the 18,000 people who are taking part, someone has had an adverse reaction to something. It may be related to the vaccine, it may not, and I sensed that out of an abundance of caution, they were pausing it.
Does that cause you any concern?
No, I have to say. I mean, I was slightly nervous before I had the injection the first time, but I really do trust the scientists on this one, just as I trusted them originally. Like I said, there's 18,000 people from a range of demographics across 4 countries, Britain, South America, Brazil, and the US. They said someone had been admitted to hospital and they didn't know what the cause was. There's been some reporting that it's to do with inflammation of the spinal cord, although that's not confirmed. And I had this injection in May. If I was going to keel over, I would have done it by now, is my logic. And so I feel completely safe and normal in myself. And I expect that this will be resumed fairly soon. And as soon as it does, I'll get that second injection. I'm not deterred at all. I think it's really important that people volunteer for this sort of stuff. And I trust the scientists completely that this is the risk to the participants is about as low as it could conceivably be. And this latest news doesn't change that at all for me.
And you've been given any idea at this stage at all when you might be resuming the trials?
No, not yet. I've just had this communication. I mean, it's my understanding that it could be as little as a week or it could be as long as a month, which is a relatively long time given we were supposed to have this in September. And now it looks like we'll have to wait until the new year. So that's disappointing. But I've had no personal reassurances or anything like that. I've just had that message saying your appointment is cancelled. We'll tell you when it's resuming. But whenever it resumes, I will get that second injection because they need people to have second injections because they need to see how much doses are needed to build up the immunity. And I absolutely want to be a part of that. Like signing up for this trial for me was back early in lockdown, we all wanted something to do, to be useful, to feel part of this. And for me, this was the vaccine trial. So I'll definitely be getting that second shot.
Okay, it's good to talk to you, Jack. Well done you. Do keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Professor Robin Shattuck from Imperial College London, who is leading another vaccine trial, is with us here in the studio. Hello to you, Professor. Thank you so much for joining us. You've heard what Jack was saying there. We need people like him, don't we, to do these sort of trials, but it must cause some concern when they have to be paused.
I mean, this wouldn't normally be a news item. It's what you would expect in any clinical trial. There are often events that require the trialists to pause and see whether it's related to the vaccine or to the medicine. So it's not unusual, it's expected, and it shows that these trials are being done to the highest ethical and scientific standards.
How often a day are you asked how far away we are from a vaccine?
Almost, definitely daily, often many times a day.
How far are we away from a vaccine?
Well, when we spoke back in January, I think we said that the vaccine field anticipated that a vaccine could be developed within 12 to 18 months.
Yes.
And we're still not at that 12-month timeline. And developing a vaccine in that timescale will still be unprecedented. We hope that we'll get there, but I think it's important to realize that we won't wake up on the day that a vaccine is shown to work and then get it the next day. It's going to still take some time for a vaccine to be made available.
I remember you saying when you did come in earlier on in the year that you needed something like £1 million from the government. That seems a long time away now, doesn't it?
It is a long time away, although only 6 months. It was 2 million for us to get into the clinic. We are in the clinic and we're moving as fast as we can, but with caution, because obviously there's no point in developing a vaccine that doesn't work or that has side effects that people won't tolerate.
Other countries have said that they are very close to a vaccine, not least Russia. Would you be happy to try that vaccine?
Well, I think that there's a bit of smoke and mirrors around the Russian statement. They're probably at a similar stage to where we are right now, and they are doing large-scale trials to demonstrate the vaccine that works. And I'm sure behind the political noise, those people developing the vaccine want to show that it's safe and effective because they'll want to sell it globally.
Mm. How surprised are you that China has not been at the forefront of developing a vaccine?
Well, China is still pushing very hard. They're just not making as much political noise about what they're doing.
Okay.
So we have 32 vaccines now in clinical development. But out of those 32, there's probably a 10% success rate for all of those. So most vaccines will ultimately fail. Well, it's not good odds, but I think what it does demonstrate is actually we need a large number of vaccines being developed to make sure we have a few that are really effective and really safe. It's not an easy process, and I think there's perhaps an over-expectation that the first vaccines will be perfect. They won't be perfect. We hope that they'll work, and as time goes by, we'll get better vaccines and a better safety history for these vaccines that will allow us to prioritize which vaccines are most suitable for different groups.
And when you find a vaccine, how do you convince the greater public to take that vaccine or have that vaccine administered? Because there's going to be an awful lot of anxiety around that.
I think it's going to require absolute transparency, and I think that's what you're seeing. You're seeing transparency, particularly with the Oxford vaccine. They're showing not just the hype, they're showing that they're taking it cautiously, they're looking at side effects. And it'll also be based on a risk-benefit basis. You know, there are many people that can't live normal lives. They're at high risk of COVID disease who would be very, very keen to get a vaccine as fast as possible. And those are the people who will be prioritized. And as confidence builds, I think more and more people will want to access a vaccine to get their lives back to normal.
Just a quick thought about President Trump saying that there will be a vaccine in the United States before the election, which is less than 2 months away.
I think that's highly unlikely. It is conceivably possible that there may be an announcement that a vaccine is showing efficacy, but that's not quite the same as a vaccine being available and rolled out into the wider community.
In the meantime, we have drugs now in place that can treat COVID-19 as opposed to actually eradicating it.
So treatment is improving and will improve. And actually, we need vaccines, we need treatment, and we need to also maintain, public health measures to combat this virus because it's going to be around for years.
Okay. It's good to talk to you. Do come and talk to us again when you're nearing that that sort of, I don't know, holy grail, whatever you want to call it. What do you refer to it as in the lab?
Well, proof of concept.
Okay. Proof of concept. Okay, we've got to work on that. We need something more snappy. Professor, it's good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. More than 100.
Well, it's interesting that he admitted that when he's talking about people taking the vaccine, that it'll have to get trust and it will get safer. as they work on the vaccine. So they do admit that there will be people that will have side effects, and some possibly adverse side effects. We all know that, you know, all these medications, it's interesting that their solution is medication to everything. But that's like, if you ever go to the GP, like I went to the GP for this cough that I've had since, was it September, October, since I had the vaccine. It was a week after, or 2 weeks after, that I started getting this cough. All they do is just give you, try this. Okay, you go back, I've still got the cough. All right, try this. I had 3 different medications, and neither of them stopped it. But that's how it works. Anyway, what do you think? Is he a stooge? Was he set up to, unless he's a journalist, because he spoke like a journalist. But they're preparing us for this, I guess. Will you take it? How do we know whether we can trust them or not? After things like Primodos and things like that, how do we really know what we're putting in our bodies? Because we wouldn't know, would we? All we've got to do is believe that politicians who we know lie to us, and pharmaceutical companies like who make Primodos and things like that, that this time they're telling the truth. It's a big risk if it's your body that you're putting on the line, your one body that you have. Take care, take it easy, God bless, and peace.